Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now, with just days left to the presidential elections, I think we've only got 3 days left. We are now narrowing it down to the permutations that are going to play out in deciding who is going to be the next Nigerian president. And I say the next Nigerian president, that is because even if the incumbent returns, he's returning for a new term, so he's still next. So we're now looking at the permutations that are going to play out in deciding who is going to be the next Nigerian president. Now, the figures vary back and forth throughout the country, but really the central figures, the most important figures that we're going to examine are the numbers from Kano and the numbers from Lagos. We'll be focusing on the permutations and we'll be placing it within a rigging scenario. So we all know that the Nigerian elections are going to be rigged because Nigerian elections are always rigged. They always have been rigged. So there's no indication that this will be any different. There'll be a lot of rigging taking place and all of the apparatus of rigging are already in place. We all know that APC have slot agents within the INEC organization. We all know that the INEC chairperson himself is an appointee of Buhari, and we all know how the money politics is being played with those Shiba and Joe going around the markets handing out 10,000 and all that. So we all know that the elections are going to be rigged. Well, how that rigging pans out, placed within the numbers, it is the permutations that we're going to look at now. So let me just not get too worthy and just get into it. So now we're looking at Lagos and we're looking at Kano, and we're looking at the election rallies of both parties as a gauge, as an indication towards the direction of travel of these two states that will be deciding the next Nigerian president effectively. So we're looking at how their election rallies, how their campaign rallies played out in these two states as a determinant, as a determining factor to gauge how the Nigerian elections will pan out. So now, let's go to APC first. So we had Malam Buhari go to Lagos State. If you saw my previous video, then you'd have seen how that played out. The people in Lagos were shouting thief, thief, thief at him. And when he went to all the other southwestern states, they were being thief, thief, thief again, and they were being stoned, etc. So clearly, the southwest. Not that if I said the southeast, I meant the southwest. So the southwest is firmly putting in their verdict already, and that verdict is a rejection of the Buhari's brand of regime. You know, so the southwest is firmly rejecting the Buhari brand, and then contrast that with Atiku. When Atiku went to Lagos, the welcome was resounding. It wasn't overwhelming, but it was certainly resounding. The welcome was organic because the Lagos state is not an PDP controlled state. So the people there to welcome Atiku would have been the people who of free will are there to express their allegiance and their alliance to him. So and it was a robust gathering as well. The people responded. The arena was filled. There was chanting and joyous reception, and that is in contrast to what Buhari got, which was ole ole. So now let's go to Kano. When we go to Kano, the Buhari reception in Kano again was very tepid. The crowd were dispersing fairly quickly because obviously they've all been ordered to go there from their workplace, and once they fulfilled that obligation, they just dispersed slowly, and it was very tepid. But now, in contrast, and I'll try and put a clip of the sort of reception that that Atiku got in Kano. And when I say Atiku got in Kano, I'm actually talking about that Kwakwanzo got in Kano. So the reception to the PDP in Kano was a sight to behold. So now we've all heard about the Kwakwanzo movement, but this is the first time that I've actually had a real gauge of what that thing actually means. The tempo, the vibrancy, and all of it. So this is my first real experience of it. So that as I watched the clip of that response to Kwakwanzo and by extension Atiku in Kano, it was organic, it was rhythmic, it was pulsating, it was vibrant, it was energetic, it was energized, it was full of pump and verve, it was like it was the pulsation of a heartbeat. It was giggy, and you could hear it. It was in tune with the crowd, and they were all at one. And as he said one thing, they'll pick it up, and then they resonate with the practice chant, and the whole thing just pulsated. So if you watch this pulsation, this pulsating response to the PDP and Kwakwanzo, and by extension then Atiku in Kano, there's absolutely no reason to think that Kano will go any other way but with the ways of Kwakwanzo. So now we've now seen these two scenarios. So we've looked at how they've both played out in Lagos and Kano, and now let's look at the numbers and see how this plays out. So now we talked about rigging earlier on, and we all know, and we've already discussed how the APC and the Buhari government have put all the rigging apparatus within the INEC structure just to write numbers, So we all know that all the rigging apparatus are there, and we all know that numbers will be written. But then, if we then look at the numbers that are likely to be written set against the backdrop of the response that we have actually seen visually of the people responding to the candidates, the response in Kano in Kano to Buhari was tepid, and the response to Buhari in Lagos was aggressive. It was ole. They virtually chased him out of the southwest with chants of ole. So they chased him out of the southwest with chants of ole. And then in Kano, the reception was tepid. So the response to Atiku in Lagos was warm and embracing, and the response to Atiku in Kano was pulsating and organic and quite vibrant and full of verve. So now we've had these two responses, and we've all seen it. This is something that's been visually played out, and everybody has seen what's played out in these two states. So now we go back to INEC and the rigging. So now, how are they now going to rig this election to declare these two states for Buhari, set against the backdrop of the verdicts that the people of these states have given by way of response to both his campaign and the campaign of his opponents? So this is really where the play is now. So they have their numbers written to declare Buhari as the winner, but then the people have already given a verdict prior that they have rejected Buhari. So now, how are they now going to present those numbers? They cannot present a landslide. I think we all agreed on that. They are not stupid enough to go and write numbers to present a landslide to Buhari. That's absolutely not possible. And they cannot even present, by the way, a 60-40 to Buhari. So what then they have to do is go and look for numbers to tweak to give Buhari like a 52 for just a narrow edge. Obviously it won't be, because there are other parties at play as well. So I'm just saying in relations to the PDP. So when I'm doing the percentages, I'm doing the percentages in relative to the two parties, not to all of the parties that are in play. I know other parties will take large chunks of the votes as well. So I'm setting that to one side, and I'm doing 100% play out between the two dominant parties, which of course we all agree are PDP and APC. So now I'm saying then the margins between these two parties has to be a lot closer, because even given rigging, it'll be impossible for them to rig Kano State to the point that they declare it for Buhari. It'll just be a real travesty, and I think the people of Kano would not accept it, because they've already given their verdict, and they've already seen their verdict, and if the numbers that they're announcing is contrary to the verdict that they've given, then the people will react. The ditto Lagos State and the Southwest. The people of Lagos State and the Southwest have given their verdict, and they've already seen the verdict that they have given. So if INEC is now coming to announce numbers that are contrary to the verdict that the people have already given, the people will react. So now how are they going to rig these elections? Because they're going to now have to inflate margins in other obscure states like Farawa and all these kind of nonsensical states, all these little states that nobody, all these obscure in the distant states, they have to go and tweak the numbers there to make up for the numbers that they're going to have to give up in Kano and Lagos, because the numbers in Lagos and Kano have to be given up, because they cannot now rig it to the extent of making that declaration, because it's now an absolute impossibility based on the response that we've seen. The people of Lagos, they cannot be shouting ole ole at Buhari, and INEC will then go around the back and say Buhari won, because the people have already called him ole, so they cannot now say that he won. It's just the two. In Yoruba we say 2 gave 4. The 2 has to cut 4. So 2 plus 2 has to be 4. So we don't. So now this is really where the play is. I'm not quite sure if you're reading the sense of what I'm saying, and I'm not quite sure if the understanding is coming through. But however you've understood it, engage me in the comment section, and I'm happy to expand on it that bit more, because I think we now have to go down into the permutations of the numbers, because obviously in politics it all plays out in the numbers. So we discuss those numbers in the comment section. I'll leave you here, meet you there, and I'll say peace.
Missing someone.